once more, Pachelbel's canon indeed introduces us to I.C.O. There's a real precedent for using this kind of classical music. I mean, the Lone Ranger radio series when it started was with the William Tell Overture playing, which is more associated with the Lone Ranger now, and the Green Hornet was the same. So Cetus is carrying on a proud tradition with public domain classical music as a title theme. Enough of pointless wandering about all radio shows, let's get on with this story. And we left it where Judah is heading back to his dorm. When the wake-up call came, I was more than prepared. I hopped right out of my sheets and made a brisk pace through my morning routine. More than happy to get out of that room full of cranky, musky mustelids. It's strange what a difference being 3 minutes early can be. The hangar was the emptiest I've seen in my few days here. I first arrived beneath Scarlet Echo, which was all set and prepared for another day out there. I swallowed. No time to dwell on that. I may be early, but my schedule is tight. Maybe I should be getting some stretches in. That framework can really make an ass sore. I found a nice spot hidden in the shadow of my ferrule to do some in secret. Some basic leg and arm stretches that had me popping a few joints every now and then. I was not 5 minutes into my exercise when a familiar pair of voices drifted into earshot. Hugo and Gil. The two engaged in light conversations. They walked side by side. Gil was the first to notice me, and he flashed his trademark toothy grin in my direction. Jude, the dude! Morning! Good morning. Good morning, Jude. Are you well rested? Yeah, a bit better, actually. Oh, swell. Good, you're getting to the rhythm of things. Well, it's another long day out there. Would you like some help with anything? Help? Yeah, like some assistance with your ferrule or any questions you might have. And it'll give us some more time to, mingle. Just you, me, and my boy Hugh. Gil nudged Hugo, flashing a bright grin to both of us. The sea lion rolled his eyes but smirked all the same. Plus, we make good time. Might be able to get some sodas before we're out. Yeah, because the first thing you need is more sugar. Gil shot Hugo a dirty look. So, Jude, you like cream, root beer, or just the fizzy water stuff? Give me a second. I fiddle with the tip of my tail. What's going on with this guy? Why is he being so friendly? We hung out all day yesterday, even had dinner together. I don't know what to make of it now. Shouldn't we be more focused on today's mission or something? Does he want something? I'm fine. I sighed heavily as I rubbed my temples. You sure, man? I mean, there's nothing wrong with... I'm alright. Sorry, I'm tired and... Right, I need to do something with my ferrule. Hey, you alright, Judah? Yes. Hugo rested a finger on his chin and gave me a conspicuous look. Well, alright. You can always rely on us if you need anything, okay? Yeah. I walked off, feeling a mixture of odd feelings roil inside me. What do they want from me anyways? We're out risking our lives in the hellscape again, so this isn't the time to be getting chummy. Maybe I was getting too comfortable yesterday with Gil. Sitting outside in ardour without a care in the world, eating together like we were... friends? It was nice, wasn't it? Wait, no. I can't be getting too comfortable. I don't need this kind of distraction anymore. Just focus on the mission at hand, Judah. I'll be happier for it in the end without having to worry about the others. But still, I looked back and Gil was talking to Hugo with a concerned expression on his face. Hugo seemed just as confused. I idled around for a while, for I spotted Shay in the distance. I went to see him for today's mission briefing. Good day, Squadron. I see you're all accounted for and on time. His eyes drifted momentarily to Gil, who gave an almost inaudible yip. Base Supply's given us some additional information contained in today's mission. They've been unable to communicate with a few of our rigs for a while now. We're going to investigate what's causing this. Was it a gradual or instantaneous stoppage to the tower's connection? Or a Reportedly, it went out suddenly yesterday morning without warning. I see. The rat nibbled at the tip of his claw while going back to his usual silence once again. Oh dear, that's quite concerning. Is that all we have to go off of? Well, for the time being, it appears so. Base Blythe, I think we've had to fix that very tower several months ago. Same one, right? If I recall, yes. This is unlike that encrusting issue. Gil clicked his tongue, looking irritated with the newfound information. You think by now they'd be constructed a little more tact and grace? They were built so shittily, maybe we wouldn't have this issue. It's a dangerous and costly endeavour just to install X1 alloy so far from the crater's perimeter. Like it or not, I'm afraid we'll have to make do. Gil looked ready to engage in a hot debate with the rat before Shay cleared his throat and everyone stepped back in line. Regardless of the cause, we have orders, and I'll see to it they're fulfilled. Since this will likely be an extermination mission, I've requested our armaments be bolstered. Oh, do tell. Gauntlets, polearms, broadswords, or even a few grenades should the need arise. Well, after the loss of one of our carriers last time, I want each and every one of you to be mindful of the convoy's safety. 7 soldiers were lost to that mega colony. A pang of guilt hit me in the stomach. I can still remember the sound of that vehicle making an impact with the ground. Maybe I could have saved them. Before I could dwell on that thought for long, Shay raised his voice once more. We'll be going directly towards the radio tower, passing the base in the process. Once we properly analyse the situation or eliminate any I.C.O threat, we will return to the base to refuel and rest. This is a 7-hour venture into the wastes. Be sure your water tanks are filled up. Now let's get ready. I want everyone in their ferals in 10 minutes. Another unanimous recital of the slogan and we all set off. Guess Gil won't be getting those sodas. I was welcomed back to the wasteland with scorching heat. Not 5 minutes in, already sweat had begun to pool on my forehead. By the second hour, Shade stopped issuing commands, and there was nothing but eerie silence as we walked through hills and valleys of revel. 4 hours in. Felix had spotted a mega colony a few miles to the east. Fortunately, didn't seem to notice us and disappeared into the debris of a fallen tower. Finally, by the 6th hour, there was something new to behold. As we crossed over the umpteenth hill, passing by Base Blythe in the process, a new sight was in store for us. A vast sprawling cityscape, crumbling from the decay of a century. I scanned the great expanse of buildings which must have stretched on for miles in either direction. The remains of what must have been great towering structures were cracked into pieces, consumed by time and the endless appetite of I.C.O. Streets which once bustled with life, now empty and decomposed with time. Steel, concrete, even glass. As long as it wasn't the wasteland itself, they'd devour it. Each and every day the old world is vanishing into a million tiny mouths. A world that was once bustling with colour, energy and life. No subterranean cityscapes languishing in the dark. No sky obscuring domes that shrouded the world above. No I.C.O. Now, however, it was teeming with the damn things. They were everywhere, sessile colonies which were encrusted along the concrete or fanning out like branches littered the ruins. An ecosystem of maggots living off the skeleton of civilization. Staring down at the remains of what was once a thriving community, a sense of sorrow welled up within me. My whole life I've been trapped within the walls of the craters. Even now I'm held safely within the depths of my feral. The idea there was something to live for back then, it's absurd. I scanned the landscape, searching for this tower. It didn't take long for I'd spotted it. It was located amid a flattened part of the landscape, surrounded by nothing but vast piles of rock and rubble. Slightly rusted but still stuck out like a silver ingot in a sea of stones. And from this distance, it was clear to see what exactly the problem was. A massive glob stuck firmly to its side, heavy enough to cause the entire tower to bend slightly. The tower must have been at least 60 or so meters tall. Whatever was attached to it must have been half its height at least. The rest must have noticed too, because the first thing Shay asked for was for Felix to get a visual. It appears our theory was correct after all. There's a mega colony consuming it as we speak. Well, you get a good look at its size? Well enough to see that most of it is covered in elongated spines. It's round in shape and appears to prioritise bulk over mobility. A mobile fortress of sorts. Now keep the vehicles at the centre of the formation, squad. Belfast, Wagner, I want you two at the rear. Donato, Bishop, you'll flank. I'll take the vanguard. Can you spot any of the mega colonies at this distance, Belfast? 3 or 4, none in the vicinity of our target. Any reason it's so far away from the base? Increases range for its radio waves. At its position, it's just far enough to reach Crater Chevalier. Inconvenient for repairs and defence. But Tiplig's alloys take care of that. Typically. Any further questions? There was silence for a beat. I do not believe so, sir. Splendid. Take extra care not to provoke any of the colonies we approach. The last thing we need is for a sessile colony to become defensive. Is this understood, squad? Aye. Affirmative, sir. Acknowledged. Yes. And let us proceed. And down we went towards the ruins. What new world have they fashioned for themselves down there, amid the skeleton of civilization? We'll be surrounded on all sides, neck deep in their territory. Our descent seemed to last for eons. They're everywhere. The damn place was a den of these bastards. So many shapes, sizes, features, just... They stared at us. Some scuttled away while others watched. Some even tried nibbling away at our feral's armour, only to be deterred by their repellent properties. Still though, any slight impairment would compromise the entire thing. They'd storm any opening with a vengeance. Perhaps they were waiting for something to go wrong. It was a whole other community down here, one where the roles of predator and prey still existed. The weak were consumed and turned into additional body structures for the larger ones. They'd even fight amongst themselves for territory, or scraps of debris which resulted in the loss of limbs or chunks. Said parts would then gain their own independence and scuttle off into a nook. A cycle of life and death. A cycle of nature, almost as if nothing had changed at all. But they were one entity. They always have been. No matter how many pieces in their whole, the moment they feel threatened they could amalgamate and obliterate us in mere moments. But perhaps they were too preoccupied with each other to care about us. Hopefully. We marched silently, taking care not to provoke anything when we finally arrived. It was a wide clearing. An area deep in degradation with nothing more than rubble and a few upright buildings to provide structure to an otherwise flat chunk of land. Our squadron took residence behind one of the larger rubble piles as we scoped out the situation. The target was just in sight. We were close enough now that we could hear it creak, and a quick glance at its midsection would explain why. It was utterly encrusted in a garden of luridly coloured I.C.O. Like mould, they festered on the metal, squirming and morphing in a disturbing manner. I looked upwards. It hadn't noticed us yet, fortunately. Or if it did, it was probably too busy eating at the metal to care. The surrounding area was devoid of I.C.O. other than the mega colony, which periodically regurgitated bits of metal plating every moment or so. Parts of the tower were still effective at repelling its sewage. How the hell is this thing still standing? You think it's even repairable at this point? The entire central satellite configuration is gone, but we could salvage what it hasn't consumed yet. Well, half a tower's better than nothing, I suppose. We can repurpose the unconsumed parts at least. Outpost Blythe is the Commander Shay Huang of Squadron 015. We have a visual of the mega colony. Radially symmetrical, possessing an armoured hide and elongated protrusions. We're estimated 18 meters without the spines, 25 with them. The midsection of the radio tower is currently being consumed at a delayed pace. We, however, still can save the upper portions. Permission to terminate target? There was a brief moment of silence, filled with nothing but the chewing of metal, before the radio whined on again. This is Base Operator to Commander Huang. Save what you can of the tower and return it to the base. Elimination of the mega colony is not a top priority, however it sounds as though it cannot be helped. Well, it's attached quite firmly, depends on how it responds. Terminate target should become hostile or attempt to assimilate nearby colonies. Roger, Commander Huang signing off. So, what's the plan? We'll be outrange in a close quarters situation. The end of those spines outreaches even our longest pole arm. I don't think any amount of arm cannon fire will do much against its hide, but Felix's rifle, on the other hand. Felix can get off the tower and we should be able to detonate it. I bet it goes to plan, that is. We do not yet know the full extent of this mega colony's capabilities. Be prepared for anything. Gear up and on my mark, Belfast will knock it from its perch. We'll move it away from the tower, and then we'll finally have Belfast finish it off with a detonation round. That sounds good to me. I see no issue with it. Allow us to proceed. Right. Excellent. Mission starts as soon as we are armed. The rest immediately set off to gearing up, and I followed closely behind. What to use? This is Judah Bishop to Carrier 3Y. Carrier 3Y, we read you loud and clear. Requesting stock selection. In this carrier we have 6 arm cannon, ammunition cartridges and 3 knives. A sword would be interesting, but the length of that mega colony's spines made me wary. Anything with extended reach. Carrier 2C is currently housed in a 12-meter polearm with 3 different head augments last I checked. Polearm? Maybe I can finally use a real one. Engage Mode 8. I signed off and connected to Carrier 2C, which promptly bestowed 2 separate parts for staff, each nearly the length of the carrier itself. I snapped the 2 together and had a full-on staff the length of Scarlet Echo itself. Even with the addition of the arm on its head, I don't think I'd be able to entirely outrange that I.C.O's monstrous skewers, but at least I wouldn't be as disadvantaged. Looking through the different heads, I found one which suited my liking. Should cut fairly well and give me the range needed to take on those spines. I took a moment to get a feel for the weapon in my feral's hands. It's a bit surreal pretending to be holding a weapon like this, even the ventriloquist system took care of the balance aspect. There's only so much you can do to simulate weight, I suppose. The only sign I was holding something was the framework refusing to tighten my grip any further than the feral's grip on the staff itself. Reminds me of when I carry a piece of driftwood around in the house and pretend to be bashing I.C.O. with it. One would always scream at me pulling that kind of shit. I turned to see the rest of the squad fully prepared. Shay donning a pair of gauntlets which wore monstrous claws that looked like they could cut boulders clean in half. Hugo, on the other hand, cavorted a massive shield slung across an arm. It's mass enough to crush the boulders Hugo leaned it on. Gil, meanwhile, was testing the sharpness of a pair of daggers on a pile of concrete. The slabs it cut out were sharp as the knives themselves. Are we all ready? Why the short range, Gil? I'm leaving that to the rest of you. Range is important, but we might need something a bit sharper to tear into its body. Once I get past the spines, the central structure will be done for. Hugo turned to one of the convoys and produced a rotund object that must have been the size of 3 dorm bunk beds in length. Maybe there'll be some I.C.O. left for you after it gets blown sky high. I don't think I've ever seen you throw one of those things before, Hugh. I always want to see an I.C.O. explode up close. Maybe I get my chance today. I believe the colony's about finished with the tower's midsection. We'd best make haste. Are you sufficiently prepared, Belfast? One piercer round has been loaded and is ready to fire. A single round should be sufficient in disabling its footing for the moment, giving the rest of us ample time to attack. Wagner and I will take the vanguard. Our ferrule should be much more resilient to its spines. Once we've cleared that out the way, Bishop and Donato can make quick work with their speed. But be cautious and prepared for the unexpected. We have no idea what's in store for us. The 4 of us lined up our ferrules, with Felix in the back shouldering his massive weapon effortlessly. Everyone's feral stood on their hind legs, weapons just itching to strike at something. I gripped tightly onto the polearm, envisioning countless different ways it could try to defend itself. Claws that could snap my polearm in half? Tentacles that constrict Scarlet Echo? Maybe it burst into 100 different colonies that attacked us from all directions. We had a plan, but that only accounted for its form in the moment, and who knows what it's even capable of now. Just go with my gut and follow Shay's orders. Fire! A spray of fluid erupted from the I.C.O's hide, sending a long streak of yellow across the tower. The colony squealed but refused to let go of its holdfast. The tower swayed, and for a moment it looked as if it would break in two. Belfast! Felix was quick to reload his next shot. The I.C.O. meanwhile had its milky eyes trained on us. Another deafening shot, another spray of yellow. This time the impact had sent the colony falling from its perch. There was a resounding thud as the I.C.O. hit the ground, and it cried out in distress. Come on. Shay and Hugo took a cautious step forward, their shields raised in preparation for anything. Every now and then, chittering, the distinct sound of zooids scattering about. What was it doing? Was it reforming? The dust cloud couldn't settle any faster. Come on. Stand back, Wagner. The two paladins receded back with their myrmidons close behind. Target in range. With a piercing cry, the beast shuffled forward, flashing its spines forwards, looking for something to impale. Despite its bulk, it was able to make good ground, propped up on the bottom by its lower spines to aid in its movement. Hugo rushed into the front lines and readied his shield in preparation. Get out of the way! Huh? Rather than snapping like twigs, the I.C.O's spines had exploded, covering everything in a thick web of tendrils. They slithered across Hugo's ferrule, constricting it tightly. The mega colony had already righted itself back onto its legs, spurting more of the strange gunk at the sea lion. I can't move my arms. What is this? They're binding it. They're hardening, and my ferrule can't move. I can't move! Hugo tried wrenching the shield off the I.C.O. to no avail, the massive writhing tentacles still pouring from the shattered spines. As they advanced over the sea lion's body, they lost their glistening texture and became rougher, hardening into shells all across Hugo's body. Royal smoke had been completely encrusted with the stuff, and the mega colony snapped off as the last bits of the substance hardened. Shay bounced back as the mega colony swept its remaining spines in his direction, landing with a great thud. The I.C.O. flashed its spines again and unleashed an ear-splitting shriek. The half of its body lacking spines began to undulate like something was crawling beneath its surface. Then the bases of where its spikes once were began to inflate like a balloon. They shot out, filled with some strange substance, growing more and more until finally fully forming brand new spines, filled to bursting with whatever fluid it puts into them. Their surfaces puffed out before finally hardening up, finishing their growth. Ew, what's going on? I can't move my arms. The entire upper body of my ferrule's completely immobilized. Looks like it's attempting to return to its original position. Can you move your Royal Smoke's lower body? A bit. I can inch my way back. Return to formation, immediately. It began scuttling towards us, eyes bulging from their sockets. If ever an I.C.O. could look pissed off. It was sluggish. Every bit it inched forward, its massive topside swayed as if threatening to topple over at any moment. Had it not had spines on its lower side to prop it up, the whole thing would come crashing down easily. I shot my right arm outwards as it closed in. Aim for its underside. That seems to be how it scuttles around. A good eye, Bishop. Belfast, to you. Light erupted from the three of our arms, sending bullets hailing towards the I.C.O's fleshy leg structures. Ooze burst from eyeballs and tentacles, shredding its lower body into pieces. Not 3 seconds into our volley, however, its tentacles began to retract inwards, and in a flash of motion its crimson undersides retracted into its fortress-like shell, our bullets bouncing off its armoured hide with no effect. A bastard! Vacate the area. I'm reloading another round. There was a shattering sound as the bullet broke armour, followed by a brief squirt of yellow gunk from its wound. The shell shivered yet remained firm, blood cascading across its surface, running down its spines to form droplets at their tips. Felix took a few moments to reload his next shot, all the while the I.C.O. remained firmly in place. We got it in a corner. If it tries to emerge, we can tear into it with our cannons. And staying put means Felix has an even easier job taking it out. The shell shivered. I could hear a muffled scream. Its spines quivered in their place. It'll all be over soon. Just stay put. It was then I noticed something peculiar. One of its spines, the longest one in the middle, looks to be fuller, more elongated than the rest of them. Was I just imagining things? Am I being paranoid again? No, it's certainly longer. My early celebration had begun to creep with dread. This colony. What's its planning? Another blast. Its armour looked ready to give in. Hurry up, Felix. The spine began to grow. It was nearly the length of Scarlet Echo at this point. The entire front of the colony was bowing outwards, its surface becoming increasingly taut by the moment. What in the name of... pressure? What's that, Jude? It inflated its spines up to replace them out of a thin membrane, right? And it must have some way of pumping certain parts of its body, like, I don't know, some sort of pump system? The seams of the I.C.O. looked about ready to burst, small jets of liquid already shooting outwards. Then... Bishop, Donato, to me! Gill and I dashed into Amber Lynn, which wrapped its titanic arms around our ferals. Out of the corner of my eye, spotted password blue, a lone speck of deep sapphire on the horizon, dashing towards the closest piece of cover it could find. My heart stopped. The sound had rattled me to my core. When I finally opened my eyes to see the damage, there was slime everywhere, tentacles rising in a wide radius all around us. Gill and I were still in Shay's arms, the tiger feral completely engulfed with the material. I held my polearm close to my chest. Had Shay landed at the wrong time, I could have accidentally skewered him. I turned to see Felix's feral, bits of the elongated spine driven directly into the rat's chest, his feral rendered inert. Commander, Felix! The rat's voice piped up over the radio, sounding gargled and glitchy. My feral, it's... He spoke with a shaken voice, a demeanour not seen before. Breath heavy, teeth chattering against each other. I swear I could hear his heart racing. Status report, Belfast. Cockpit has sustained heavy damage. Had the aim been lower, Felix sputtered again and his feed cut out. Sir, what was that? Wagner, what's your status? I'm behind some rubble. A few carrier vehicles are with me as well. We're assessing the damage and I don't know if I can get this stuff off without a feral's help. They're live I.C.O, sir. I don't know how long it'll take until the armor's compromised. We need to take it out fast. They're starting to get into my feral's joints. All right, you three. Are you damaged? Well, I shielded them from the blast, but my feral's been covered by the material. Well, I'm completely immobile. Donato, Bishop, is there any on you? There were no new sensations I could pick up from the ventriloquist system, except the pressure from Shay's hulking beast to a feral. No, sir. None either. Well, I can't move my head. What's the I.C.O. doing? Gill and I freed ourselves from the feral's immobilized arms, standing upright to take a look at the area. Come on! Gill's fist met the metal of his cockpit, letting a distinct clank resonate from his feral's radio. Shay took a deep breath, a growl of frustration apparent. with the last able-bodied units. The I.C.O. taking out 3 of our comrades, and yet it still stood high. Gil began hacking and slashing the hardened tendrils coat in Shay's ferrule. The rate he took would have taken hours just to free one of Shay's arms.
There's no time for this, Donato.
And how the hell else are we going to fight this thing?
We still have 2 units left, Donato. The I.C.O. must have taken substantial damage to perform such a maneuver. I cannot see, but I assume there's a gaping wound on the colony's body, correct?
Yes, it's sizable, but...
We eliminate the target at any costs. That's an order.
What, you've...
fuck.
Gil.
I'm good, I'm fine. I'm good.
Gil took a deep breath. Sorry. I turned towards the convoy formation where Hugo had inched his way forwards. We could retreat, right? If Gil and I to be caught in the gunk, then that's it. We're done. There's little the convoys could do. They'd be forced to abandon us. I remember hearing veteran convoy drivers at the institution. And their voices were hollow, describing abandoning a squadron with compromised ferals. And doubt Hugo could make it back like that too.
You, hey, listen. Remember yesterday?
Yeah?
Now I need you more than ever here, alright? Just, please. We can do this. We got this I.C.O. fucker in a tight-ass spot.
Gil, maybe we should consider...
Judah, please! I'm gonna beat this thing to a fucking pulp and I won't take no for an answer, got it?
Right. I turned, grappling my pole-arm, which was only lightly covered with a gunk. Gil jumped to my sides, knives brandished outwards and teeth bared. 2 ferals, 1 I.C.O. Already survived one before. I can do it again. I will win. I will make it out all right. I will survive.
Give him hell!
We thrust ourselves forward, weaponry ready to tear into the I.C.O.'s flesh. I directed an arm cannon towards the gaping hole in the I.C.O.'s body and then released a beef burst to fire. The colony recoiled and promptly twisted itself around to hide its vulnerable spot.
Gonna need some speed. Engage mode B.
I slid the bardiche into a holster on Scarlet Echo's backside. The I.C.O. flashed its spines, twisting away to pull its vulnerable wound out of reach. I took the other side, hoping to form a pincer attack with Gil. We skirted 5 meters or so beyond the range of the spines. It swiveled side to side, pushing the spines dangerously close to our ferals. Just one of them bursts and ensnares us. We're done for. The colony had finished one rotation, the wound was in sight. By now I could see it slowly attempting to repair itself.
Like hell I'll give you the chance. Engage mode A.
I reached for the bardiche as Scarlet Echo unfurled.
What the hell?
Jude! The cockpit jolted as Flaxen Emperor tackled my ferrule to the side.
Fuck was that for?
Looking up, however, revealed it expelled a web of tentacles from its wound.
He knows we want that weak spot.
Gil gripped one of his daggers by the blade.
Eat shit!
The dagger cut through the air with a sharp whistle, finding a home directly in the I.C.O.'s gaping wound. It reeled, regurgitating volumes of fluid and tendrils.
Bullets aren't doing jack shit for us, yeah? The knife's disabling properties are still active. Should keep the wound from closing up anytime soon.
Got any ideas?
I just need to get into that wound. At this rate, we'll run out of ammunition before we can finish the job. Fuck.
I could hear Gil angrily stomping his cockpit. The I.C.O. twisted around and bared its intact spines. They threatened to dislodge at any moment.
Gil
and I bounced away from each other. The colony thrust itself into the space between us. Its spines had barely grazed us. A small yellow splatter stained itself on Scarlet Echo's waist. The colony came to a halt as it realized it missed its target. Tentacles had begun to slither their way across the ground and up the base of the colony, where they proceeded to reintegrate themselves. Already a few new spines had showed up, poking their way to the colony's surface. It's recovering, and fast.
All these damn spines, I can't get nearly close enough to deal anything substantial.
Yeah. What if we were to get rid of them? It only has so many it can use, only the backside's remaining.
We can't attempt a battle of attrition here. We pop a few, several more will show up. We need to get rid of all of them all at once. Come on, how the hell are we going to do that? I bit my lower lip, staring tentatively as the I.C.O. scuttled towards us. Just one knife's not going to do any good there, Gil. Take this, it'll serve you better. I thrust the polearm into the ground. Oh, what? The fuck are you doing, Judah? I slowly approached the mega colony, taking a deep breath as I prepared myself mentally. This is fucking stupid. But at this point, what option do we have? Follow my lead, Gil, and don't you dare miss the target. I'm putting everything in your hands now, so... God, might be the biggest moron in this goddamn world. You mean... Gil chuckled. Well now, alrighty then. On my mark. Engage mode B. Gil stood close behind me, gripping the polearm tightly. Like I said, don't miss your mark. I surged forward, barreling straight towards the I.C.O. The I.C.O. twisted around and flashed its spines in an attempt at intimidation. I kept running forward. I'd ignored its warning. The mega colony now had no chance but to fulfill that promise it had made. It directed nearly all its remaining spines in my direction and charged. Yeah! Just as the closest spine seemed ready to burst, I twisted around. Scarlet Echo reels, it now exposed the entirety of its elongated flank towards the I.C.O.'s spines. And inertia took care of the rest. The mega colony staggered as the entirety of my feral's weight was forced onto its body. The tendrils took no time at all to encase me in their binds. They filled every inch of my feral's joints, slathering and then hardening across Scarlet Echo's once lustrous surface. Didn't think I had the balls to do it, Jude. But I'll be damned. Finish the fucking job for it finishes me, alright? I spotted a blur of gold whiz past me. I got it. There was nothing to ward Gil off. Practically all the spines had been detonated. The ones that weren't were too far from Gil to really matter. Yay! The wounds only turned away from me, and when Gil arrived, it wasn't long for he utterly decimated it with my polearm. Scarlet Echo shook as Gil tore the colony's insides to a pulp. The polearm worked its magic as everything it came into contact with fizzled and died on the spot. The dingo tore into the I.C.O.'s body, the Bardiche leaving vast dead scars in its wake. The more Gil sliced, the more Zooids were killed. The mega colony's structure began to weaken as there little left to support itself. I got you now! With a stylish twist of the weapon, Gil threw the finishing blow into the centre of the colony, which split the colony into 4 beaten chunks. God damn, the gamble actually paid off. Need some help there? Thanks. Gil was beaming above me. I could have sworn Flaxen Emperor was smiling. I took a toll of my harmonics levels. Give me a moment. Not like he'll be moving much anyways. Here, let me help. Getting the substance off was no easy task. Gil instead resolved to cutting the entire side of the I.C.O. out, leaving Scarlet Echo attached to a massive chunk of the I.C.O.'s hide. I couldn't even move an inch, and Gil had to heave me back from the radio tower, away from the mega colony, which hadn't deflated just yet. No, Gil! Its carcass twitched slowly but surely. It began rearranging its own armour. No! My stomach sank in that moment. No, we fucking had it. The mush pile began to grow as the armoured chunks deteriorated into densely packed piles of gelatin. It was inflating itself up like a balloon. It'd blow its load and pick itself back together again after Gil's become incapacitated, then finish it off. Gil! Gil cast a side eye to the slowly inflating mass. Gil, run! Gil wasn't responding. The fuck's the matter with him? You know, I had a feeling this guy was trying to pick himself back together again. What? Just then, a dark object was lobbed from behind me, landing at Gil's feet. Hey, what's up? Hugo? I didn't want to miss the action again. Thought I'd bring you all a little something. Gil picked the orb up, not even casting a glance at the colony, which had looked just as inflated up to its original size, but still grown at a steady pace. Thanks for the gift, Hugh. I hope you don't mind if I give it away to someone. By all means, be my guest. Thanks, I'm sure they'll love it. He fiddled with its surface, eliciting a distinct beeping noise, turning a red light on the orb before casually tossing it over his shoulder. Not bad, you. Not bad. The hell are you going on about? Just proud of you for listening to my advice. You really showed your guts out there today. Yeah, keep showing me more of that, right? You keep this up. They don't stand a chance. It must have been midnight by the time we arrived at Base Blythe. The moment I stepped out of Scarlet Echo, I wanted nothing more than to collapse on the spot. Gil had spent the whole rest of the day digging the Squadron 15 out of that muck. Once I was free, getting the rest out of their predicament was somewhat easier at least. Not to mention he's the only one who could carry password blue back, because the rest of the squad's movements were still hampered by some of the crust deep in the joints. Base Blythe would take care of that by morning at least. Hopefully none of that gunk is still alive. Shay was in the middle of a debriefing with some of the staff members. He did most of the talking, fortunately, so I could blend into the shadows. We salvaged as much as we could from the tower, storing it in the convoys to be delivered to the base and repurposed. Overall, the mission was considered a success, and with that final statement, our squadron was free to rest for the night. Relief washed over me like a waterfall. The day was finally done. I could get at least a few hours of shut-eye for early morning tomorrow. I leaned against a wall and sighed, filling my lungs with the base's stuffy air. Now I knew what Dad meant when he called off Crater Base's stifling. Even though the piloting suit's as breathable as they come, it was still dampened by puddles of sweat. One whiff made my nostrils crinkle in response. I need to get changed quickly. Now where's the damn changing room? Lucky that most of the base's staff was asleep, and had the room all to myself. I unzipped the backside of my suit's collar and worked it off my body. Ah, man, that feels good. Now hopefully I can take a quick shower without anyone noticing. I wrapped a towel around my waist and carefully made my way to the shower room. All seemed to be going well when... Crap, someone's here. I tightened the towel around my waist and rushed to the showers. Hopefully no one will see me before I... Yak! I just turned the corner and made impact with something large and soft. I was petrified. My body was still wrapped around theirs, but I couldn't move an inch. Please be nothing. Please be a dream. There I opened my eyes. Judah, hey, are you okay? I squeaked and threw myself off the sea line, who looked just as surprised as I was. Sorry about that. Are you all right? Hugo, I was just trying to... Oh, never mind. No worries. But you might want to put your towel back on, though. I wasn't looking. Don't worry. Hello? A small part of me withered and died that very day. My shower was brief, and by the time it was finished, Hugo was all dressed and waiting for me. Apparently he wanted to have a little walk with me around the base. I'm feeling a bit restless after that, so why not? Sorry about that again. I hope you're not mad at me. Never mention it again. Fine. Hugo threw his arms behind his head and gave a great yawn. I'm not giving you a real good first impression on you, am I? I mean, getting beaten down both today and last mission. You did help with that bomb, though. Hugo chuckled. Right, I suppose I did do something pretty cool there. So, second mission in only 3 days. How you feeling? Like shit. Hugo gave me an easygoing smile and patted me on the shoulder. I feel you there. You'll start to appreciate your mundane duties in due time. To me, I just consider it extended break periods. So, labours is how we spend the time we're not fighting for our lives? Delightful. I mean, hey, you get to spend some time with us at least. Yeah, I guess so. Shay, I'm kind of afraid to look at him funny. You heard about yesterday? Yeah, Gil told me on our way to the hangar this morning. He really knows how to, dramatise things. Speaking of Gil, you two seem to be spending some quality time together. I cocked a brow. What? I mean, yeah. You two getting along just fine? I mean, I like. I stopped talking as I thought of what I would say next. Never mind. Hugo gave me a puzzled look. You sure? Yes, I'm sure. Hugo placed an hand on my shoulder and stopped us both on our tracks. Hey, listen. I wanted to ask if something's going on with you, Judah. I stopped. What? This again? Is this guy really starting this now? Why? What relevance does it even have? Easy. I just want to ask a few questions. It's okay if you want to keep it to yourself. I get that. But if you ask me, I think you could use a good talk at the moment. So, would you care to just speak for a little moment? Aye, fine. We continued walking, albeit at a slower pace this time. This job's stressful as all hell, trust me. It seems every other week a feral pilot or a carrier crew member is taken from us. Hell, when I first started out, I wanted to leave after the first few missions. Fortunately, Gil had my back at the time. Well, I won't tell you what to do. It's your choice after all, Judah. But maybe you're willing to let your guard down just a bit. You might find yourself in a more comfortable spot, you know? Letting my guard down? What do you mean by that? Well, why don't you go speak to him about it? Just come clean with how you're feeling. Couldn't hurt, right? I blinked for a moment. Anyways, whatever you do, just don't be up too late at least. The sea lion yawned again. I could see the drowsiness in his eyes start to overtake him. Yeah, I'm going to sleep. Early morning and all. If you want to speak to Gil, you can probably find him sitting around somewhere. Try to find a window or something. He likes looking out of them when he gets a chance to. A window? Before I could ask any further, Hugo separated from me and walked off into the dark. I stood in silence, thoughts orbiting in my brain at light speed. I pondered for a moment before setting off. I was getting drowsy, but we'll see. It'll be just a brief conversation, right? It's... just stop fucking thinking for once and do it, Judah. I scoured the base for 5 minutes before finally stumbling on a veil of moonlight, and surely enough, Gil as well. He looked pretty calm, actually. What was he doing? His eyes were fixated on something out there, highlighted by the brightness of the moon's rays. I took a step forward and the dingo's ears perked. Whoa, Judah, what are you doing up at this time of night? Trying to find you. Why? You weren't at the bunk room, so I just wanted to find where you were. Gil stroked his fuzzy chin. Okay. Oh, wait. Isn't this your first time in Lock Crater Base? Yes. Come here then, you gotta see what it's like out there. Gil reached a paw out to me. For a moment I stared at it. Without thinking, I felt my own arm push itself towards his, and our paws linked together. The dingo smiled and pulled me into the moonlight. It's always a treat when these bases let you see outside. So natural light really does wonders for you. Yeah. There was something in the dingo's eyes as he looked outwards. A glint, a sparkle of something. What did he see out there? The two of us were silent for a beat. I was about ready to leave when Gil spoke up. So? I turned to lock my gaze with the dingo's, his brilliant hazel eyes boring deep into my core. How are things going? How are things going? Yeah, life and stuff. How's it working out for you now? I sighed and rubbed the fur on my temples. I don't know. Gil frowned and tilted his head. Oh, yeah, I suppose that's to be expected. He turned again to the city festering with the I.C.O. Well, that and... Shit, did I let that slip? Too late. Gil had heard it and turned to me with an inquisitive expression on his face. That and... communication. Letting my guard down. The hell did he mean? That look Gil gave me, no lie could ever hope to pass his watch. I fiddled with the tip of my tail as the words welled up in my chest. Just, what do you want from me, alright? 2 days in, you've been so insistent on spending time with me. Now, yesterday I thought I'd get to learn something from training with you, and I don't know, is there something you need from me? Gil stood there. I don't know if he was stunned or upset. To my surprise, I was met with a light-hearted chuckle. Ah, shit, really came across like that, eh? Well, to start off, I don't really want much from you, Judah. You're a new recruit and just thought I'd extend some hospitality to welcome you the whole charade. Gil glanced to the side, uneasiness evident into his expression. I know this job's not easy. Almost every other day we're out in the wasteland risking our lives in the name of duty. You saw firsthand today just how much we balance on a knife's edge. I mean, seems like you may not be the biggest fan of it, but, well, just thought trying to be friendly would put your mind just a bit at ease. So if you're uncomfortable, Judah, truly that was not my intention. I averted my gaze from the dingo, unsure what to say next. Oh, that's it? Yeah, I can stop if you like. Don't make a squad mate of mine uncomfortable. It's okay. It's fine, Gil. I'm sorry. I was a prick. I'm sorry. Dude, it's no biggie. My fault for being a dumbass. Yeah, I suppose so. I cracked a very slight smile. Just maybe, Gil's ears poked up as I chuckled awkwardly. Maybe shave that goatee you got, and I guess I'll let you do your usual shit. Hey! This baby makes me look like a fucking badass. Sure, whatever you say. Gil would not let that whole goatee thing go. The next 5 minutes was spent with him arguing why it indeed made him look, as he put it, fucking sexy as hell, yeah? What is this feeling? I was smiling right alongside a guy I've known only for 2 days. But all my reservations seemed to have been tossed to the wayside. I don't care anymore. It feels good. Say, Gil said in a mum tone, I wonder if I can see it from here. See what? The dead zone. Wait, here? You didn't know? This base is supposed to monitor activity there. No. I pressed my face against the glass, staring beyond the city's limits. Even in the bright moonlight, I couldn't make out anything peculiar. I mean, I didn't even really know what I was looking for exactly. How close are we? 30 miles, I believe. I was thinking maybe we could see it from a higher vantage point. Have you ever been? Gil shook his head. No, we live at the elite squadrons. Gil stroked his goatee. I don't wonder what it's like. Yeah. He didn't comment from there. For once he was silent, almost somber, his eyes bobbing in and out of a drowsed trance. Indeed, my eyes were also growing heavy, and I could feel the longing for a comfortable bed to curl up in. I was about to bid Gil good night when suddenly he spoke up, this time his voice soft like a lullaby. So, I do want to ask you something, Jude. Oh, yeah? Gil turned his gaze to me, the yellow of his pupils like a radiant gem in the moonlight. Why'd you pilot in the first place? Eh? What do you mean by that? I mean, why'd you take the plunge into this lifestyle? You run the risk of dying young and alone outside. The day could come when you make one little slip of, well, you're goner. What's with the mood killer? Why'd you decide to do it? If I may be honest, you don't seem to enjoy piloting all that much. Is there a reason? Money? Security? Or something else? I shuffled my whiskers. Does he really need to know? I have a family, I suppose. So, money? Yeah, sure. You need to work on lying there, Jude. I am not lying, Don't worry, it's fine. He drew silent for a moment, simply staring ahead through the glass. I looked out past the window towards the remains of the city which sat just down the slope. The I.C.O. put on one hell of a spectacular light show. Twirling blues, sizzling reds and undulating greens clashing together in a mesmerising display. And hovering above the hypnotic colours was an endless tapestry of sky, dotted with jewels for stars. You ever wonder what this place was like before they came along? It's absurd to me. No crater, no dome, no I.C.O. Gil pressed a paw against the glass. I couldn't imagine being that free. Free. Before I could pry further, Gil let loose a great yawn. Oh boy, look at the time. If we don't rest up, we'll be late tomorrow morning. She'll have me for breakfast. Good talk there, Judah. Have a good rest. Same to you too. Gil gave me a pat on the back which made me stiffen. Ultimately, I allowed it. The two of us walked together, drowsiness setting in as we made our way to the base's dorms for a well-earned night of sleep. To be continued. Line art unscripted is by Cetus. Colouring art direction by Cody Opulus. I.C.O. Raws were created by Kei-san Kaiju. Edited and proofreading by Copton and Noah Hearts. And a huge special thanks to Dirk the Red Panda and Mello for programming help, Badger, Copton and Noah Hearts with writing and art direction, and Nanoff for creating the code and assets for the screen animatics. And yes, they have a Patreon set up. There is going to be a link in the description. So you can feel free to jump on there and help support the I.C.O. team. And if you do play, it's always good to fill out the feedback form so people know what you think. Feedback is important when you create it, trust me. So that's it for this build. Until next time, this has been I.C.O. And for those of you who've been asking me since the last one, the next video, the 19th of December, 2020, Year of the Plague, is going to be Far Beyond the World. The build is coming out on the 15th, but I won't get to it till then because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking next weekend. So I'll see you all then. Bye for now.